Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I have with me the Natasha Denona Glam palette. This was released a couple of weeks ago and I have had this palette with me, but honestly I have not played with it. And when I opened it, I had to have it because it was a Natasha Denona palette, but when I saw this palette in person, honestly I felt uninspired. This is how the palette looks. It seems like, and I haven't played with it, so this is all me, my preconceived notions about this palette. And what I feel is that it's probably going to be a very boring palette. I feel like I'm going to get pretty similar looks out of this big palette. And I also feel like some of the shades, or maybe most of the shades, are going to look very muddy on my skin tone. So these are like some of my thoughts about this palette without actually having tried it. So today I thought I would try this palette and create some looks out of it and see if, I like this palette or not. So if you're interested, keep on watching. So the Natasha Denona palette looks like this, and it's a 15 pan palette. It is for $65, just like all her other 15 pan palettes. And the way you probably know this, so the names of these shades are basically wherever they're supposed to be placed on the eye. So there are some shades that are center eyelid, some are outer eyelid, some are inner corner shades, and some are like crease shades, smoke shades. So, the function basically is mentioned as part of the names of these shades, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to, apply these shades in the same location. You could just very well apply it in other places as well. Anyway, so it is a beginner friendly palette. That's, I think, the intention, but I think everybody can obviously use this palette the way they want to. Now, I want to swatch this palette again the way I usually swatch palettes, where I want to swatch the matte shades together and the shimmer shades together. So let's do that. So I'm going to take these two lighter shades, and they are the transition and crease shades, and this is how they look. So it's super light. Next I'm going to take these three dark shades. So this is the smoke shade, this is the blend shade, and this is the, I think, lash line shade. So these are like a darker shade selection, and that's how they look. Next are all like shimmery shades. So I'll try the two, or actually three shimmery shades that are for the outer eyelid. So this is one of them. This is a grayish outer eyelid shade, and there is this another rusty smoky outer eye shade, and there is another one, this again very charcoaly grayish shade. Those are the three outer eye shades. Now they are pretty satiny and they are shimmery. Definitely these two are more satiny than shimmery. This one's a little bit more shimmery. So you can definitely apply them on the center eyelid as well. Then there are like three, actually two inner corner shades. One is the brow bone shade. So they are very, very shimmery. I'll just apply them here. So this is the brow bone shade. Again, they look pretty similar to me, honestly. And in person, they are, yeah, very, very similar. This one's a steel gray, but these two are almost the same, the inner corner and the brow bone shade. And then there are four center eye shade. So there is a pinky shade, then there is a golden center eye shade, there is a grayish silver center eye shade, and there is a champagne center eye shade. Just the champagne one. Now, I don't want to do too many comparisons of this one, but I do want to see how this silver shade, and it's inner corner basically, but anyway, it's a silver shade. I want to see how it compares with some of the other silvers I have. So I have the Stiletto palette from Marc Jacobs, and I want to take this silver shade, and I also want to take this gray shade. I know this is probably going to be very different, but still, just to show. And this is slightly darker. So this one, even though it looks steel gray. It's not that steel gray as compared to the one in Stiletto. And I also want to take the silver shade from the Natasha Denona Love palette. I think this one is really pigmented and more steel gray than this one. And I'll just take the center eyelid shade. This is also like a gray shade. Let's see how this one compares. So it's a little bit more gray, I want to say, more blackish gray compared to the Love palette steel gray. Very similar though. For the first look, I want to take my Sigma brush, blending brush, and see how this shade shows up on my skin tone. Pretty sure it's not going to show up, but let's see. So this is the transition shade. It shows up like a gray, dull matte shade. I guess it's fine. And just to create more depth, I'm going to take this crease shade and let's see how this goes. Just to add depth and create that shadow effect on my eye. So where I'm going with this is I want to create a smoky eye with this palette because this is glam, and I think the most glamorous thing or glamorous look you could do is probably a smoky eye. So I'm hoping that it's a palette that helps create a smoky eye with ease. So let's see how that goes. So it's definitely blending very, very nicely, I've got to admit. So now I want something warmer. So I'll take this blend shade with my Wayne Goss brush. It's a thinner brush. And I'll just apply this all over my crease, but on the top, because I want it to blend with my skin. I love how they blend. Next, I'm going to go into this smoke shade or the lash line shade. And there is a little bit of fallout in the pan, so I'll just tap my brush and then just apply this all over the eyelid. And this is the Natasha Denona brush that I'm using. This is number 8. I actually really enjoy her brushes. They apply pigment really well. So this one is actually applying the matte shade really nicely. And there is no patchiness. And it's a nice soft black. It's not like a jet black. So that kind of helps you have that smoky look without having that raccoony eyes. So I actually like this black shade. And I'm just blending it. So this is where these light shades come in handy, I think. So I'll just go with that crease shade and just blend out this black shade with the Wayne Goss brush. That worked like magic. This was really easy. Whoa. This is such a nice, soft, smoky eye. You can definitely intensify it with a black liner and all that, but I think this is just fantastic. Next, I'm going to go into this blend shade, and this is the lighter brown shade, and just apply this on my lower lid. And I feel like it's a pretty light shade and probably doesn't show up, so maybe I should take this darker shade, the smoky brown shade, and just apply this on my lower lid. I do see this black shade does apply pretty okay, but there are a bit of patches. I don't know if it's the brush or the shade. So I'm just reapplying this. Next, I'm going to go into this brow bone shade and just apply this on the brows. It's a nice shimmery shade, which is not so bright. So it looks good on the brow actually. And I'm just going to use that as my inner corner as well. I'll just take this transition shade and just apply this towards the inner corner just to brighten up my eye. And maybe I applied a bit too much, so I'll just go into that lash shade one more time and just reapply it. So I've applied my lashes and I think I want to take it to the next level. So I'll just take this lighter pencil from Marc Jacobs and just apply it on the lower lash line. Alright, so this is the finished look. This is my simple grey charcoaly smoky eye. So for the next look, I'm just going to build on this look and create a halo. So I want to try these two silver shades and see how they look on this black eye. So I will take this center eyelid shade, the steel gray shade, and just apply this with my finger towards the center. And let's see how this looks. Actually, I should take a brush so it gives me better control. And this actually looks really nice. It's a lovely steel gray shade. I have my lashes on, so I have to be a little careful. So this is the kind of silvery gray look. Honestly, I don't find this super interesting, to be honest. Maybe I should do something else with this. So I will take this inner corner shade. I'm assuming this is going to brighten up the eye. So I'll just take this with my finger and just apply this towards the center. It did brighten it up. I don't know. What do you think? Alright, so taking a break from a more silvery look, just doing something that is a little bit warmer. So I'll take this blending shade and just apply this on my crease. I actually like this shade better than the other transition shades. This actually is almost my skin tone but a little bit darker, and I kind of like it. Now going with my Wayne Gauze brush into this smoky shade and just creating a little bit more depth on my crease. And then I'm taking this thick Natasha Denona brush in the number 10 and taking this rusty shade, the bronzy shade, for the outer eyelid, and I'm going to just do that and apply it on my outer eyelid. I kind of want to see how it works because it looks shimmery. Normally I would just put this on my entire lid, but let's follow what Natasha Denona wants us to do and see how this goes. Next, I'm going to take this golden shade with my Natasha Denona number 12 brush and just apply this towards the center. And I actually, on this eye, I want to try this pink shade and apply that in the center. So we get two looks in one attempt. So this one, I think it is definitely pinky, but somehow it looks silvery white. A very faint pink shows up on my skin tone. It's mostly silvery whitish. And then with a shader brush, I'll just go into this inner corner shade. I think this one is pretty shimmery. I'll just apply this towards the inner corner on both sides. I think the inner corner shade and the center eyelid shade kind of look the same on my skin tone. Alright, so here is the final look. This is look number 3 and this is look number 4. Alright, so for the last look, I want to go into this transition shade one more time and just apply this basically all over the eyelid because I have a lot of concealer on, so I just want to make it nice and smooth. Next, I'm going to go into this crease shade and mix it with this blend shade and just apply this with my Wayne Gauze brush on my crease. Next, I want to go into this outer eyelid shade, and this is this steel gray shade, and I'll just apply this towards the edges, and it's a nice shimmery gray shade. And I'm using the Natasha Denona number 8 brush. Kind of like this shade. Let's take a blending brush and just blend it all out. Next, I want to take the brow bone shade and apply it on the eyelid. I feel like this is a nice shiny shade. Yes, I actually like this shade a lot better than some of the other shades in this palette. Next, I'm taking a thinner brush and just going into this lash line shade and just smoking out towards the edges. And on my lower lid as well. Just going to apply my lashes and come back. Alright, so this is the finished look. This is look number 5. I wanted to share my final thoughts about this palette. I have to admit, I don't think this is as bad a palette as I thought it would be. So it definitely is a glam palette. All the looks that you can get are, you know, smoky, silvery, grayish looks, if you will. I mean, there is definitely a gold shade, but in general, the other shades, however you combine them, I think you'll get like a nice smoky look. So for that kind of looks, I think this is a really nice palette. And I think all the shades went with each other like really well, blended really well, applied really well. And I definitely enjoyed playing with these shades. Now, what I didn't like about this palette is, first of all, it has some of the repetitive shades, like these champagne shades, the brow bone, and these two shades. And I think even this pink one, it somehow looked silvery white on my skin tone. So we could have lived with 1 or 2 of these rather than having like 3 or 4. So definitely there are repetitive shades like this 2 silver. I think these gray shades, we could have lived with 1 of them. I feel like the result on the eye is pretty similar no matter which shade you use. So yeah, that's the reason why I feel like, yeah, we could have lived without some of these shades. And even this one, like, I feel like it's a nice shade for the inner corner brightening without it being too white. So it's not that bad, but still, I mean, yeah, I was looking for something that was unique in this palette. And that is my second complaint, which is that I was hoping there would be like more shades. I wanted more variety in this palette. But I feel like instead of having like some interesting shades and maybe some shimmery shades, like these are all pretty satiny shimmery, I was hoping that there would be some glittery shades, you know, the ones that really pop on the eye. Even though the shade might be similar in color, but the texture and the shine, one of them could be like a high shine shade, which I don't think is there in this palette, or at least it doesn't shine as much on my skin tone. So yeah, that's the other thing that I didn't like about this palette. But other than that, I think it's a nice palette. It applies really well. If you're drawn to this kind of color scheme, I feel like you will enjoy this palette for sure. Now, can I live without this palette? I think I can live without this palette. I feel like the kind of looks I had, I didn't need 15 shades to create these kind of looks. I already have so many palettes that probably can give me this look and even better looks, if you will. So yeah, I definitely feel like this is a nice palette, but I can live without it. Anyway, so yeah, that's been my honest review about the Natasha Denona Glam palette. I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope this was helpful. And I hope I've not offended anybody, but yeah, that's how I feel. And let me know in the comment section if you agree or disagree, or what you liked about this palette, what you didn't like about this palette. I would love to know. And if you did enjoy this video, do give it a thumbs up. If you like this channel, do subscribe. And until the next time we meet, bye.